Hello again. I sound like Howard Cosell here. This is Bob Weir with another interview of People in the News in North Texas. My special guest today is Frisco resident Veronica Birkenstock, a staunch Republican and successful entrepreneur. Thank you for being here, Veronica.
Thank you.
Please begin by telling our viewers something about your background.
Well, I live in Frisco, Texas. I'm the mother of three. We've lived in Frisco now for almost a little over 10 years. We have a business. My business is almost 30 years old, and we love Texas. We love it as our home. I've been heavily involved in local politics here. I actually ran for Congress at one point. I'm heavily involved in D.C. operations. Also worked on the Trump campaign, and I'm currently working on his re-election campaign.
All right, let's get right into the major topic here. You recently returned from Hong Kong, China. Tell us about the protests over there.
Well, it was very interesting, I have to say that. It was quite refreshing to see so many young people who actually understand what freedom is all about and what freedom really is and what's at stake when basic rights are going to be taken away from you.
Yeah, the kind of things that we take for granted, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
It was refreshing to see young people understand that they have to act, and they're acting in a peaceful way, and they're acting in a group coordinated way to bring voice to the problem that they see that's taking place in their country right now.
Veronica, were you there in any official capacity?
I was with American Conservative Union as an advisor to that organization.
And where did you stay while you were there?
We stayed at JW Marriott.
Were you there when the extradition bill was revoked?
We were. We were there on that Thursday afternoon, and we arrived on Wednesday. And we were actually sitting at the Hong Kong Free Press office talking with the chief editor there. And part of our mission there was a fact-finding and basically searching for truth. So we were meeting with a long list of individuals. But at that particular moment, we were actually sitting in the Hong Kong Free Press office. And it was announced at that time that the chief executive was going to make the announcement that the extradition bill would be withdrawn. So we were about 30 minutes before it happened. I think it happened about 6 p.m. Hong Kong time.
What was the mood of the demonstrators?
You know, I thought they would be rejoicing. They'd be happy because that was one of the things. I mean, that was basically why these protests actually started. But they were not happy. In fact, they were more energized to protest louder, and there were more people actually out on the streets that night than any other time during the weekdays.
And I would venture a guess that it was because they saw what China could or was beginning to do, and now it has really awakened the sleeping giant there. And
Absolutely.
They said, "Oh, this is weird." So they weren't going to be happy with what China is doing. So I understand that there's a lot of people there pro-America, flying the American
Absolutely.
flag, and asking for help.
And they are. They're actually asking for America's help. I mean, I saw more American flags during the time there that I think I've seen in Frisco in my entire time and flying at one time. It was actually quite patriotic. I mean, and they were singing our national anthem.
Oh, wow.
It was very very heart touching, and people would walk up to you on the street. These young students they would put their arms around me and say, "Please tell President Trump how much we love him, how much we are standing with him on the tariff situation. Tell him to be strong, raise the tariffs even more because it's working. It's hurting China's economy, and we have to cut the head of the snake."
Yeah, that's why we should be very proud to be American. When we see what it's like in other countries, and a lot of people here just take it for granted, like you're always going to have it because you always did have it. Well, these people are losing it. They're probably afraid that Beijing's going to break that 50-year agreement that was entered into with Margaret Thatcher in '97. So they still have about 28 years on it, but it sounds like China's getting impatient. So they want full control. Anyway, did you feel threatened during your visit?
Well, obviously during protests you can be concerned. I mean, while we were standing there, now what the police would do is when they were getting ready to throw the canisters of tear gas, they would put out these flags in the police headquarters windows. So when you were there and you saw the flags come out, that was an alert and a warning to you that could happen. And the last night we were there during the protest, that actually was the day that the promise to withdraw the extradition bill was made. the police put the flag out. So I was very nervous at that time. Matt Schlapp was with us, Dan Schneider, all with ACU, and Dan was in my said, "V, you'll be okay. We want sure we don't leave you." But when those canisters come out, we had no protective gear with us. I mean, a lot of the protesters would have a gas mask on. They'd have either their faces covered, or they would have on heavy coats or to cover their skin, because the gas will actually burn you. And so I had on flip-flops. You can't run, and there's, you've got, and then there's a stampede of people. So everyone would start moving as soon as that would happen. But they also would put out the flags to warn you when they were getting ready to shoot the rubber bullets. And so that was actually happening while we were there. So yes, I was nervous and concerned. It didn't happen while we were there. But I finally convinced them it was time to leave, that we had all the facts that we needed.
While you're out there in the streets, you want to be surrounded by the pro-America
Absolutely.
demonstrators.
Well, the students were. I mean, and it's not all students anymore, and that's how it started with the student movement. But now you've got every generation. In fact, some of the older ones will tell us, people even my age would say, we should not have left this to our children. We should have taken care of this years ago.
Are there many English speakers there?
Everyone speaks English. I mean, Hong Kongers,
Really?
they do speak English. I mean, it was a British territory, so they do speak English. Now, their Cantonese is also their official language, but that was one of the ways we were able to tell the police who the police were, because they've been infiltrated by Beijing. The police officers would be speaking Mandarin, so they're not Hong Kongers when they speak Mandarin.
Yeah, well, that would be a giveaway.
A true giveaway.
Yeah. Now, much of China's wealth goes through the port of Hong Kong.
Absolutely.
So China really relies on Hong Kong
No, they do.
for a lot of the growth, the exports, the business environment, and Hong Kong is a city of wealthy people.
Absolutely.
I think I understand from doing a little research that they have the highest concentration of super rich people in the world, surpassing New York City, Tokyo, and Paris. So it's interesting that China is trying to kind of absorb them, but at the same time China needs them doing exactly what they're doing.
Thank you.
Do you think mainland China is holding back from perpetrating another Tiananmen Square, so to speak, because of the trade talks they're having with Trump?
I don't think they want another Tiananmen Square. I mean, that was an embarrassment to China, and no one was served. I mean, it was just a horrible situation. So I don't think China wants that. I mean, that could even spark World War III.
Sure.
The issue is that, and what I want Americans to know, the tariffs are having a huge effect on the Chinese economy. They are in a recession. There's no doubt about that. They are in a recession. And if it's possible for Trump to remain strong, which I think he will, but if he'll remain strong and dig in, whether we get a deal now or we get a deal of 6 months, every day those tariffs are in place, that weakens the Chinese Socialist Party.
I think he's very smart. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, he knows exactly what he's doing. I wish we could get Wall Street and members of our Congress to understand that there's a reason behind the method, and it's to weaken China. And then once we weaken the communist regime, then it's easier to say goodbye to a communism.
Sure.
If you keep on feeding the regime, then it's going to continue to grow and they'll have more power. But what the students have seen and what these protesters have seen is this is the perfect time, the perfect storm with the tariffs, coupled with being able to take the sanctions that normally apply and apply those to Hong Kong. Even though we asked them, well, why would you want that to happen to Hong Kong? Because that would affect you as well. Because there is a tremendous amount of wealth in Hong Kong. But if they said we're willing to do that. I mean, they're quoting, give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah,
they're quoting that.
I saw that.
They are quoting
that. Wow.
And they're willing to suffer because they do not want to be part of China. They want to be Hong Kongers and they want their independence.
Well, as we're wrapping up quickly, do you plan on returning anytime soon?
It's debatable. We'll find out whether or not we're going back. One of the protesters that was actually arrested is on his way here now. He was in Germany, I think yesterday, so he'll be here in D.C. this weekend. So we'll be meeting with him, and we will determine whether or not then if we need to go. The issue is what's the purpose if we go, and when can we offer assistance and help. Right now, the biggest need is protective gear for the students from the tear gas.
Yeah.
By the way, that tear gas is actually bought in Virginia. So we're working with some members now to try to see if we can stop some of the exporting of that tear gas.
Okay, we're being grabbed by the clock,
Okay.
Veronica. It's so interesting, I can go all day.
Oh, I could go all day too.
I want to thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
And for giving our viewers a clear view of how important democracy is to those who have tasted freedom and are in fear of losing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for watching.